All right, everybody. Unhappy Wednesday coming to you live from our humble abode. This is the Unhappy Gilmore Show, powered by Green Legion Radio and part of the Green Legion Radio family. We thank you for joining us from wherever you may be and whatever service you're using to tune in. So, please pull up a chair, turn up the volume, have some fun on the company dime if you're stuck at work, crack a beer if you've got the opportunity. And let's try to have some fun as we put an end to day 3 of this week's hostage situation and look forward to tomorrow being Friday Eve. Folks, if you keep seeing me staring out this direction, I do have your Phillies game on in here. I will keep you updated. Right now, 2-1 count on Turner, tied 1-1. Marsh standing on second, 2 outs, bottom of the third. Lou Mancini in the room. How are you doing? I understand tonight might be tough to get a crowd in here. I know everybody's glued to the TV or they're at the game or you're out watching it somewhere. I do not blame you. But we're going to try to keep you entertained either way. So, like I said, let's try to have some fun and put an end to day 3 of this week's hostage situation. 2-2 count. Again, Marsh standing on second. 2-2 count on Turner. 1-1 game, bottom of the third in Philadelphia. Keaton Harmon in the room. What's up, fellers? I know some of you think baseball sucks. I don't know how you can't get excited for this here. But anyways, let's get down to the business end of stuff real quick here. Folks, if you're tuning in on Facebook or Twitter, please do not forget to like, follow, share, and subscribe to the Green Legion. If those services are where you're more comfortable, we totally get it. But just know that the YouTube channel is the best way to view, listen, comment, interact. We post the StreamYard link as well when we have the opportunity. That will happen tonight. It gives you the opportunity to join with us. The best way to do that is through the YouTube channel. So please do us a solid. Even if you're more comfortable on Facebook or Twitter or wherever else, head on over to YouTube. Search the Green Legion. Hit that subscribe button. Hit your little button, the bell for notifications. And don't forget to share that everywhere. We want to flood the interwebs with Green Legion Radio, Green Legion everything. If you cannot catch our shows live, you can always watch or listen later. And that's in the hole. That's an infield hit for Turner. Marsh only able to move over to third. So first and third, 2 outs, bottom of the third there at the bank. Again, you can always watch or listen later on any of the services we previously mentioned, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, but also on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your podcasts. Bud Light Baseball Brunch. As long as Red October is rolling, the boys will be at it on Sunday mornings. So don't forget to catch those two. The best Philadelphia Phillies talk out there. Not even a question. Not even close. Don't forget to tune in to Murph and Sack Bud Light Baseball Brunch every Sunday during your Philadelphia Phillies baseball season. As far as the Green Legion invasions that are left, right now everything is still open. You have Kansas City, Seattle, Dallas, the bye-week bender in Punta Cana, and also the bus trips to New York for the Giants and Jets, and also the bus trip down to D.C. Head to trips.greenlegion.com and do not hesitate. We say it every week. He who hesitates, don't forget, if you are on the fence, if you are not convinced whether you're going to go or not, whatever the case may be, you're hemming and hawing over it. Get off the fence, get signed up, get out there with the Green Legion. There is no better way to do a home tailgate, and certainly no better way to do an away trip. Green Legion, always the best out there. Again, I sit here and tell you don't hesitate, but I am still on the fence with Kansas City. Don't know if we can pull the trigger on that yet. Still trying to work some things out. Hopefully we'll have answers to that by the end of the weekend. As far as this show is concerned, the word of the day and the word going forward is sponsors, right? If you know of anyone out there who might like to sponsor and is willing to have a conversation, let us know. We'll get you in touch with Quimby, and he can work out the details that way. Uh-oh! And did he get it? Yes, he did. That's a 3-run shot for Bryce Harper, and you've got bedlam at the bank right now. Very nice. That was awesome. Holy crap, did he launch that thing? 408 feet? Yes, sir. 4-1 Phillies, bottom of the third inning. Bedlam at the bank. All right. There you go. I told you when I teased the show, I told you guys I'd keep you updated. So I'm gonna try to do the best I can while still trying to stick to my run sheet here. I know how pumped you guys are. So again, sponsors, right? If you know of anyone who might like to sponsor this show or the Green Legion in general, get a hold of us and we'll put you in touch with Quimby and we can work out the details that way. Would really, really appreciate the help. As far as our Midwest Eagles nest, we had a very nice Sunday this past week. We had a photographer come out, took some great pictures, group shots, a couple of group shots of just the ladies of the Midwest Eagles nest, and some candid shots while we were watching the game. That was a lot of fun. We're going to do that again later in the year, just to keep having more fun, but also to see how much we've grown over the last few days. I think 20 or 22 more people have actually joined our Facebook group. So we're hoping to get some of those folks up to the Back Porch. One of those gentlemen is in here now. Daniel, what up? Been talking to you since you joined the other day, right? Nice to have you aboard. Excuse me. Nice to have you aboard. Daniel, again, LA was the best, all birds ever. It has been that way pretty much everywhere we've gone. Eagle fans are out in full force. We are taking over every stadium we go to. And that's in no small part due to the Green Legion as well, right? Obviously, there's other groups. It's not like 50,000 people are traveling with the Green Legion, but we do come strong. Tampa Bay, we had 1,500. LA, I believe, was 1,200. So good times, and we got some more road trips coming up. Back to our Midwest Eagles nest. Again, great turnout last week. Looks like we're going to have another good one this week. So we're really, really pumped up for that. I did go ahead and buy a roll of raffle tickets. We want to start doing 50-50 raffles when we have crowds like we had this past weekend. So we'll work out the details before Sunday and hopefully maybe be able to kick that off this week. Still have the wristbands available, $2 a piece. Fan transfer forms for anyone who shows up wearing something other than birds. And the sign-up sheet for our bye-week Cincinnati Cyclones game, I don't know if we're going to be able to pull that off. Just not quite enough interest, not as much as I was hoping for. This will probably be the last weekend that I put that out there and see if we get anyone to jump on. All right, before we head into the boner of the week, let's hop over here and see what all you maniacs are up to. Keenan Harmon says, baseball sucks unless it's in October. Keenan again. Jets buses are sold out. All right. Yeah, I did not look, so I got a little over my skis. Jets buses are sold out. Lou Mancini, the Sea of Green in LA was awesome. I expected absolutely nothing less. Russ Taylor, what's up, bitches? 4-1 Phils here, so looking good. And he just walked Stott. So now you got first and second still. And Elder is having himself a time out there on the mound. Suzanne Trainer, crazy at the game right now. Well, how awesome is that? That atmosphere looks absolutely outstanding. I mean, if there was a roof on that building, that would have been I think it would have blown off when Harper hit that bomb. Lou Mancini, is McCarthy the boner of the week? No. We're going to have fun with a guy who's been in the league for a long time, a guy we all know and hate. And we'll get to that in just a minute as soon as I'm done scrolling through the room here. Okay. Suzanne Trainer at the game right now and still decided to pop in. I am humbled, to say the least. Thank you very much for being with us. All right. On to the boner of the week. Daniel, you haven't been with us yet. Susan, I don't know if you've caught this portion of the show. This is the portion where we find some idiot in the world of sports, whether it's a player, a coach, a commentator, broadcaster, some schmuck like me, whatever, somebody that's done something or said something incredibly stupid or has looked really bad at their job. And we anoint them the unhappy Gilmore boner of the week, right? So when you see me tease the show and it's hashtag BOTW, that's who we're talking about. Russ Taylor. Last week that roof blew off when Stott hit the shot and I lost my hearing. Yeah, I'm not surprised. Lou Mancini, the Dark Lord, otherwise known as Belichick. Lou Mancini always on the right path. Yes, this week's boner of the week. How about our old friend and foe and scumbag up in New England, Bill Belichick or Belichick or whatever you want to call him. Well, let's just take a look at the most recent. A 34-0 at-home beatdown handed to him by the Saints, right? At Gillette Stadium. The Pats managed just 156 total yards of offense, right? 111 through the air, 45 on the ground. Held the ball for just 20 minutes and 26 seconds. Completed just 7% of their third down opportunities. Allowed 2 sacks. Lost a fumble. Threw 2 interceptions, one of them being a pick 6 by the Honey Badger. And they missed a field goal. That's about as ugly as it gets. I mean, I know the Cowboys had their fair share of crap, and we're going to get to them in a little while. But that's about as ugly as it can possibly get for old Billy Boy up there. I mean, you can say it's not just him, but keep in mind he's also the general manager. And if you're not watching the Phillies game, Elder was pulled after just 2 2/3, gave up 4 runs. So you are into the Braves' middle relief nice and early here. Hopefully that works out well for your Fightins tonight. Again, back to Bill Belichick. Keep in mind he is the GM. And it's painfully obvious that this man does not know how to draft or even develop offensive talent. He's had defensive coaches put in as offensive, assistants or whatever they try to call them in New England. It very much feels like the league has kind of passed him by, right? There was a time when him being the head coach and the GM made perfect sense. The success, keep in mind when that Patriots dynasty started, this is before Brady became Brady. And, it was mostly built on Belichick's defense. And, just kind of a kind of game management offense. So he looked like a genius. He looked like a genius for 20 years with Tom Brady at the helm, right? But since Tommy Boy left for Tampa, won a Super Bowl, and since retired, the Patriots are 26-29 overall, including the 1-4 start to this season. They have 1 playoff appearance, and that was a one-and-done beatdown at the hands of the division rival Buffalo Bills, where they lost that game 47-17. How often did we have to hear about Belichick, how great he was, how great he was going to be, he was just going to, he's the greatest coach ever. And it's now 6-1 Phils on a 2-run double. I don't know. Oh, 2-run double by JT. So looking good for the Fightins right now. Hopefully that continues for you. As far as Belichick, having to hear how great he was for 20-something years. When Tommy left, he goes and wins another Super Bowl. And the Patriots have gone into the crapper. Obviously, look, to start out that dynasty, I have no doubt that it was much more Bill than Brady. But at some point in there, it shifted. And it became more about Brady than it was about Bill. And that was never more evident than at the end, right? When Brady left, won in Tampa Bay, and the Patriots have gone into the crapper. There's actually rumblings of some heat on Belichick now, right? At minimum, folks calling for him to relinquish the GM role to someone who can actually draft maybe some offensive skill position players, right? And when did you think you would ever hear that? And this is why he's the boner of the week. He has stubbornly refused to get with the times. While San Francisco has done their thing, while the Eagles, we've done ours, hell, even Dallas, everyone has adapted and changed and moved forward. And there's Belichick still trying to sit there and act like he's smarter than the rest of the league, and the league has passed him by. Wouldn't it just be a crying shame? Because all the talk is always that he's going to break Shula's record. Shula's record is 347 wins. That includes playoffs. Wouldn't it just be a crying shame if Belichick fell short? And he's no spring chicken. This is a man in his 70s now. So if he ends up out as the Pats head coach, he doesn't exactly have the reputation of a young progressive mind, can do it. Guys are looking for offense, right? I love defense just as much as the next guy. But that's not the way the league is right now. The league is looking for offense. The league is looking for a guy who can come in, they can draft a young quarterback, and that coach can help mold that quarterback into a franchise quarterback that they can surround with talent and make a run at a Super Bowl. None of these, Bill Belichick checks none of those boxes. If he ends up out in New England, he may never coach again. It's totally possible. Maybe that's just haterade for me a little bit because I don't like the guy. But take a look around the league. Who's hiring defensive-minded head coaches? Like maybe it's a stopgap. I mean, somebody probably will give him a chance. I mean, he is Bill Belichick. He's got 6 Super Bowls. He'll probably get a chance again, but he's in his 70s. He's been stubborn. And he's not proven to be able to draft, evaluate, develop anything on the offensive side of the ball. Nothing. Nothing at all. So, for the fall from grace and the continued stubbornness and refusal to get with the times, you, Bill Belichick, have earned this week's award as the unhappy Gilmore boner of the week. Russ Taylor, boner of the week, the NHL? No. Although, did you hear the chants in Pittsburgh at the Penguins game? I think it was last night. You guys know that the Pittsburgh Steelers offensive coordinator is not exactly a fan favorite out there. At the Penguins game last night, the entire crowd is chanting, "Fire Canada!" Another bad look. He could have been the boner of the week too, but no. we went with Bill. We'll reevaluate for next week. Keenan Harmon, I'm on new meds and have a boner all week, and I'm not calling my physician. All right. As I like to say, family programming at its finest. Love it. All right, guys. We are going to, at this time, go ahead and pop this into the comments. So for you folks who are listening out there who maybe aren't commenting, and those of you that maybe feel like you want to jump in the show at some point, that link that I just posted in the comments, if you click on that, it will take you to a separate page. You'll enter your name and whatever, check your settings, and then you can pop in on the show. I'll see you pop in kind of in the virtual backstage area, and then we can, and then I can bring you on the show and we can talk. One thing you will have to do is when you do click that link, it gives you a separate page. You'll have to go back to the page you're already on and turn down the volume for the show where you were watching it. So that's the only difference. Anyways, Andrew Bagley in the room. There he is. Was wondering when you were going to pop in. How about them Phils? Fucking brave. Yeah, 6-1, top of the 4th. Noah just needs to keep doing his thing, right? All right. So, really, the only other topic I had for tonight, and I intended on this show kind of being a little bit more brief given the fact that the Phils are on. Um, I don't want to, I'm really impressed you guys are in here with me. I'm thrilled to pieces. Suzanne earlier jumping in to the show while you're at the game. That is just bananas. That's awesome. But we're 5 games into the NFL season, right? For those of you who hate baseball, here's your chance. 5 games into the NFL season, and look, we know, that we all know the Niners are 5-0. We all know how great they've looked. They just decimated Dallas on Sunday night. Shame. But first and foremost, we need to look at our own division. So that's kind of what I thought we'd do tonight. And then maybe we'll wrap it up a little early. Still keeping an eye on the game here. You got top of the fourth, 1 out. 6-1 Phils after that huge 5-run bottom of the third. Looking good right now. Just need to hang on to it. And I was just before we get to the football real quick. When the Phillies went out and took game 1 in Atlanta with Ranger Suarez on the mound, obviously taking game 1 steals home field, right? We all know that. That felt way bigger than that, though, because you had Wheeler coming up game 2. Not only did you steal home field, it really felt like, the pitching matchups were so severely in favor of Philly that there was the possibility that this thing was a sweep. So it was a bit of a, I passed out, on Monday night. And I think you were up 3-0 or whatever. And he was dealing. Wheels was dealing. And wake up to see a 5-4 Braves win was like, ooh. But, you come back home and you got Nola on the mound and he looks great. I still got it on here. He looks really, really strong. And the offense has delivered. Obviously, Harper with the 3-run shot. JT with a 2-run double. You're doing your thing. Take game 3 here and you retake that stranglehold on the series, right? Oh boy, does he wait? God. Boy, I don't know if anybody else. Bagley, I know you're watching, but he is light years ahead of these Braves hitters right now. That knuckle curve he just dropped was absolutely unbelievable. And there's another one. Got him. Man, just dealing through 4. All right, there you are, through 3.5, really. 6-1 Phils heading into the bottom of the 4th inning. All right. Russ Taylor, but the way we lost a night ago was deflating. Absolutely agreed. But you're responding well tonight, which is what matters. Baseball, any good baseball fan will tell you, and any baseball player will tell you the same thing. You got to have a short memory, right? You play 162 games over a 6-month period of time, and then you play another bunch come October, and it's almost every night. So if you carry the previous game with you like that, it's going to eat you for breakfast. You have to put it out of your head and just move on. And looks like the Phils are doing a really good job of that tonight. So hopefully that continues. Andrew Bagley, this is lovely. I agree, man. I hate the Braves too. So Russ Taylor, how loud is it in the bank right now? I don't have the volume up. I could turn it up. I think my speakers on my TV might have blown when Harper hit that home run had I had the volume up. Keenan Harmon, watching TV and listening to you is easy. Thanks, brother. I appreciate it. Lou Mancini, when that pitch is on, he's on, and he looks very much on. And Russ Taylor, yeah, short memories. All right, over to football, guys. Oh, hang on. Russ Taylor, one more time. Baseball players, field goal kickers, closers in baseball, hockey goalies, and escorts. Who has the shortest memory? It's probably escorts, dude. Sometimes they got to go and, well, no, you know what? Maybe field goal kickers. Yeah, there's usually a gap there. Hockey goalies. That's sometimes within a minute, a half a minute to a minute where they've got to put that out of their mind. So it's got to be the hockey goalies, followed by the field goal kickers, then the escorts, and then the baseball players and closers. That's the way I would rank them with what you've got there. All right. So over to football, and we want to take a look at our division, right? Because that first and foremost. Obviously, the Birds continuing to win games is the most important thing. But as far as what's going to transpire later and how it shakes out for the postseason, winning your division, number one, right? Which is why it's not like you ever want to see Sanford. You want to be the only undefeated team left, but Dallas losing puts us 2 games clear of them. And, now we go play the Jets, who stink, while Dallas has to go out and play the Chargers. And it's a Chargers team coming off a bye week with Austin Eckler coming back. And we're going to talk about that here when we get to the Dallas portion of this. But as far as our division, I thought we'd just go from the bottom up because, well, I mean, it's just more fun that way. So we'll start with the Giants. Oh my God, the Giants. What an absolute disaster. And I know for myself and for a lot of you out there, this is a big told you so type of season or moment, however you want to look at it. Certainly is from us here. Listen, we know their offensive line is absolutely horrifying. We know that they've been trying to fix it for the better part of a decade and haven't been able to do it. We know Daniel Jones has been pressured 85 times and sacked 28 times in the first 5 games. Got it. But as Marsh shoots one up the gap for a leadoff double in the bottom of the 4th, you're trying to fix that offensive line, but you went and you signed Daniel Jones to that contract, which feels like they damned themselves even more, right? Like, didn't it? Was I not the only one? David Conant hops in the room. Yankees fan, your team in a big meeting are going to go in a different direction. They don't know what direction, but different. Well, as long as it's not the same direction as your A's, we're fine. Moving on. Again, when they signed Jones, did everybody not feel like it was just like digging that hole a little deeper? And then they farted around with Barkley, and which in hindsight, look, he's hurt again. I get it. But at the time, was it not obvious to everyone that the Giants offense looked so much better last year? Way more because Saquon Barkley was healthy all year than it was about anything Daniel Jones did? Easily their best player, and they chose to pay Jones instead. But let's just take a look at where the Giants stack up as it stands right now. On offense, for their offense, they are dead last in total yards with 1,276. Also dead last in yards per game with 255.2. They are 30th in passing yards with 815, 31st in passing yards per game with 163. Remember, they paying Daniel Jones $40 million per season. They are 22nd in rushing yards with 461, 23rd in rushing yards per game at 92.2. Daniel Jones is also supposed to help buoy that ship because he's such a great athlete and he can run so well. Not exactly working out. They are 31st in the league in points scored and points per game. They've scored 62 total points in 5 games. That is an average of 12.4 points per game. Brutal on the offensive end of the ball. Russ Taylor, I realize that this is a mainstream sports show, but let's all drop a prayer for Mary Lou Retton, who is in intensive care, undisclosed medical issue. How many girls started gymnastics? Because a great call out, brother, and I did not know. So thank you for bringing that to light. And yes, everybody, drop a little extra love for Mary Lou Retton. Wow, that's terrible to hear. David Conant backing it up. Russ, I read it was a rare strain of pneumonia. Oh God, they better not rule it some COVID crap. But that's just terrible to hear. Never want to hear that. Okay, back to the Giants. So we went over their putrid offense. Now, defensively, it does not get a whole lot better for the Giants. 27th in total yards allowed at 1,890. That is also 27th in the league at 378 yards allowed per game. They are 20th against the pass, allowing 1,133, 19th per game, 226.6. This shouldn't shock anyone the way they're rushing it. So 27th overall is a piss poor defense. They're a little bit better against the a little bit better against the pass than they are against the run, yardage wise, but that's because they're getting shellacked every week. And so their opponents are just running the ball at the end of the game rather than having to throw. So, not surprisingly, while they're 20th against the pass, still not great, they are 30th against the rush, allowing 757 total yards and 151.4 per game. So even when they know it's coming, they can't stop it. They are 29th in the league in points allowed with 153. Also 29th in the league, allowing 30.6 points per game. They are averaging, getting beat on an average game basis. They are averaging getting beat 30-12. That, I don't have to tell any of you or explain it to any of you, is absolutely horrifying across the board. Blame it on the offensive line. Blame it on, a defense that was overrated. Blame it on Saquon getting hurt. Blame it on Daniel Jones. It is definitely an epic failure across the board. And the turnover margin backs that up. They are -5 overall, which is good for 27th in the league. They are 31st in takeaways. 2 interceptions and 1 fumble recovery. They have turned it over 8 times, with Jones throwing 6 interceptions, and then they've also lost 2 fumbles, neither of those being on Jones. I think he's put it on the ground once or twice, but the Giants have recovered both. So this could actually be worse. It's just brutal. And I try to watch freaking Schwarber strikes out. And I know it's 6-1, and you guys should be happy about that right now. But when you got that runner on third and less than 2 outs, Schwarber, he's got to find a way to lift that ball and get that running. That's just piss poor. Anyways, let's dig a little deeper on the Giants. We already told you that Jones has been pressured 85 times, sacked 28 times. So again, totally admitting that the offensive line is a complete dumpster fire. We also told you that Jones contract was a massive, massive mistake because he is not in that elite category, yet you're paying him like he is. I still don't understand why anyone thought that last season that Jones had last year put him in some sort of category to demand 40 plus million a season. Last year was supposedly his best season. Now, I get a lot of it was due to not turning the ball over as much. Also very important, not taking anything away from that. But he did throw for only 3,200 yards and 15 touchdowns, right? So all of his advocates like to fall back on the 1.1% turnover rate. The problem with that is, of everyone that was, like he had the lowest touchdown rate of anyone who was in the top 10 or 15 of turnover rate. So there's a yin and yang. Yeah, he didn't turn it over, but he didn't do much. And it also just so happened that this greatest season that he's had came on a season when Saquon Barkley was healthy the whole year. As of right now, through 5 games, Daniel Jones is 27th in the league with 884 yards passing. He's tied for 31st with just 2 touchdowns. He's tied for second in most interceptions thrown. His rating is 71.7, which is 33rd in the league, which means if you stacked up all the quarterbacks and just went by the rating, he's a backup. His QBR is 39.4, which is 28th in the league. So, despite being behind in every game and still needing to throw the ball constantly, it's still inept. On top of all of that, like we talked about a few weeks ago, you have the Giants who start the year with 7 of their first 11 games on the road, right? At 1-4 right now and how putrid they've looked, I would tell you their season is already over. And there are a lot of folks out there who think that they should just shut Daniel Jones down. 1, to protect him from that bad offensive line. But 2, maybe it's to make sure that they can possibly get something for him next year. They're stuck with him through 2024. Okay? If you shut him down, Tyrod Taylor's your quarterback. And then there's the fear if Tyrod looks better than Jones. I mean, you never know. But if the Giants continue on this path, and I think they probably will, they're going to end up with a very high draft pick, possibly even in the top 5. And it's a good quarterback class coming out. Would not at all surprise me if they drafted another quarterback. I think they should go offensive line, but the hell do I know, right? I'm just a schmuck fan with an opinion. They can get out of the Jones deal after next season and only take an $18.5 million dead cap hit. So if you draft a young quarterback, you're not going to be paying him much. You get out of Jones's deal at only 18.5 for the 1 year, and then you kind of reset yourself. I don't know. What I do know is they stink. The numbers bore that out. They are absolutely horrible. And I just don't see how that's going to get any better, especially with their schedule tacked on top of it. What's really going to hurt Daniel Jones is if and when Saquon comes back, if all of a sudden they actually do start to look better. It's just going to prove more and more that Jones was never the answer to the offense, that it was always about Barkley. Look, I think it's always been about Barkley now. Fair is fair. He's not the healthiest cat on the planet, right? He's healthy all last year, but here we are already. He's missed a few as it is. Giants are a disaster. All right, what are you guys doing over here? Lou Mancini says Mary Lou, she's fighting for her life. Oh my God. Russ Taylor, I'm waiting for the NFL to have a talk about this money and sitting out issue with the running backs. Yeah, you know what? They don't have to. The current collective bargaining agreement runs through 2031. They are under no obligation to listen to anyone until that gets closer. Andrew Bagley, you can't let Brad Hand strike you out. Yeah, dude. Yeah, Schwarber and Turner then had to get a hit, but Schwarb's had the opportunity to get that run in with an out, and to whiff up there it's annoying. Russ Taylor, we have to keep scoring because Atlanta is not scared of us and they can score in spurts. Spurts. They can, but the way Nola's pitching, I don't know that that's going to happen. Russ Taylor, what if the cow bitches move to Trey Lance? Well, we're going to get to them in a few. Russ Taylor again, are the Niners and Birds on a collision course? Well, we play December 3rd, so that game's going to happen regardless, and we're going to find out. If you're talking about playoffs, I'm not going to worry about that yet. We're 5-0, and I'm just going to worry about the Dolphins right now, or the Jets right now, and then the Dolphins next week. Okay, next team up, the Commodes. And, not quite as bad as the Giants, but still not great. Under new ownership, now that Snyder was forced out, I personally was fine with Snyder owning that team forever, because they would have stayed mired in hell, likely forever as well. I'm not sure what the identity of this team is supposed to be. I think they want to be a high-powered passing offense. They certainly have some skill guys, namely Terry McLaurin. But they don't really have the quarterback to pull that off. And really, through the first 5 games, the only reason why they're not the laughing stock of the NFC East is because the Giants are just awful. They do have a couple of weapons, but again, I don't really see Sam Howell as the guy to really make that go, right? So anyways, here's how the Washington Red Football Manders stack up across the league. Again, better than the Giants, but still overall. On offense, they are 18th in total yards with 1,619. That is also 18th at 323.8 per game. They are 11th in passing yards with 1,164, 12th per game, 232.8. 23rd in rushing yards with 455, 24th per game at 91. Yeah, so another team in our division that just does not run the ball well, right? Or doesn't run it well, and also hasn't really been in a position in their games to be running the ball that much. Overall, they are 17th in the league in points scored with 109. That's good for 21.8 per game, also 17th in the league. So they're the bottom half of the league, right? They're just past the halfway point as far as points scored. Defensively, despite the fact that they can pressure the quarterback and their defensive line is easily the strongest unit that they have. Wow. Can't believe that one got called a strike, but whatever. Shut up, Albies. Just take your medicine. Nah. Defensively, the Commodes, 26th in total yards allowed at 1,861. That is 25th in the league with 372.2 per game. They are 22nd in passing yards allowed with 1,193. Their 238.6 per game is 21st in the league. They are 24th in rushing yards allowed with 668. That is 133.6 per game on the ground. Also 24th in the league. Overall, we told you that the Giants were 29th in team defense as far as points allowed at 30.6. The Commodes are 31st, having surrendered 160 points and averaging giving up 32 points per game. So this is another team that is averaging getting beat by double digits. They give up 32 points per game, and they score 21 to 22 points a game. And the turnovers, once again, will bore this out. They are also -5 on the differential. They are 22nd in takeaways, having 3 fumbles recovered and 2 interceptions. They've turned the ball over 10 times, 6 interceptions and 4 fumbles lost. Again, not anything to be afraid of, right? This is another team starved for quarterback help, in my opinion. Okay. I know going into the year, a lot of people were, Sam Howell might be able to do this, might be able to. Bullshit. Give me a break. the only thing that gives them the nod over the Giants is at least they didn't draft a quarterback out of Duke with the 6th overall pick and then doubled down on that mistake with a giant contract. Sam Howell, look, in some ways, in some games he's looked good, and in some games he's looked bad. I think overall he's probably best suited as a backup, but overall, he has thrown for 1,349 yards, which is good for 6th in the league. His 6 TDs are tied for 13th, which is the same, I thought I'd mention, as Jalen Hurts. He's also thrown 6 interceptions, which is tied for 2nd most in the league, and also the same as Daniel Jones. Just thought I'd throw that in there as well. His quarterback rating is 86, which is 22nd in the league. His QBR is 48.3, which is 18th. He has been sacked 29 times. Number 1 in football. 1 ahead of Blues Clues over there with the Giants. So as bad as it's been for the Giants, bad as it's been for Jones with the sacks, when you read the articles about the Giants, you see a lot of excuses being made for Jones, right? That he doesn't have skill position guys, that his offensive line is atrocious. These things are true. Sam Howell, his receivers are better than the Giants receivers, for sure. But Sam Howell's also been dumped 29 times, 1 more than Jones. You don't hear anybody making excuses for him, right? He's got 1 more win than Jones right now. Not that either team's been good. Has Howell been serviceable? Sure, he has. He's looked really good at some points. He's looked really bad in others. Is he the long-term answer there? I don't think you'll find too many folks advocating for it, myself included. They're 2-3, and they still have, so they're 2-3. And this is the NFC where, outside of Philly, San Francisco, and Detroit, nobody's really like wowing anyone, right? So there could be that kind of middle area kind of mired there where, playoffs are a possibility even for teams that are 2-3 right now, except for when you look at Washington's schedule. They still have 1 more against us, 2 against Dallas. They play Miami, San Francisco, Seattle, and the Rams. That's still 7 games where their opponents are better. But not just that. They are going to be, Nope, Nick's got it right in front of the wall, and that will end the 5th. Stays 6-1 Phillies. Yeah, so not only are those 7 teams all going to be better than the Commodes going in, the Commodes are also going to be in what I call a quarterback deficit, right? You're talking about Jalen Hurts is better. Dak Prescott is better than Sam Howell. Tua is better than Sam Howell. Purdy is better than Sam Howell. Geno is better than Sam Howell. And Stafford is better than Sam Howell. In some of these cases, it's severe. Actually, I would tell you in most of these cases, the deficit is severe as far as the quarterback deficit. And in today's NFL, that just doesn't add up to a whole lot of wins when you look at those 7 games. It's possible they lose all of those. It's totally possible they lose them all. But even if they go 2-5, right? That's going to make them, so 2-5 on top of 2-3 makes them 4-8. That would mean they would have to win. They would have to win their other 5 games just to get above 500 at 9-8. I just don't see it. The NFC East looks very much like division winner and maybe 1 wild card. All right, before we head to the girls, let's take a look at what you jokers are doing in here. David Conant says, "Go Niners." Russ Taylor, 1 game at a time. Exactly. 1 game at a time. Let's take care of the Jets first. Russ Taylor again. New ownership includes Magic Johnson, which is still the biggest waste of a porn name wasted on a basketball player. Well, I don't know, man. You know, he had quite the reputation, right? So I don't know how much he really wasted it. Andrew Bagley getting the pen up early. I don't understand this. Let Nola deal. We will see. I think Rob got criticized a lot for leaving Wheeler in for the extra inning. I don't think any of you should criticize Rob. He pushed all the right buttons game one. And so game two, was Wheels out there too long? Maybe. But I mean, I think you gotta trust in Rob to make the right decisions. Okay. That's the way I would look at it. Lou Mancini wasn't the old man in Road Trip named Sima. Well, I have to go back and look that up, but good call, brother. All right, let's move on to Dallas here as we continue our fun through the NFC East. So as far as Dallas goes, I'd really like to know who the hell are they? Okay, I think David Conant had the right call here. They're a joke. They can only beat mediocre teams. I think that's fair right now. At least right now, it's fair to say that. They have absolutely mangled the Giants, the Jets, and New England by a combined 108-13 score. Okay. In those games, Dak Prescott throws 3 touchdown passes and 0 interceptions. But then they've also gotten beat up, of course, by the Niners just this past Sunday night, but also by the Arizona Crimson Pigeons. And that's a combined score of 70-26 in those 2 games. Oh my God. Where's that one going to land? Gone. Harper does it again. Russ Taylor's all over it. Harper. And we've got Bedlam. 414 feet. My God. Yeah. So, I mean, I think I'd like to see Nola come out and pitch the 6th, and then you can probably turn it over to the bullpen after that. All right, back over to Dallas here. You outscore the Giants, Jets, and Patriots by 108-13, but then you get outscored 70-26 by Arizona and San Francisco. In the 3 wins, Prescott 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. In the 2 losses, Prescott 2 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. I mean, talk about Jekyll and Hyde. I mean, I don't. Again, David Conant, you're spot on. Right now, they are very much a feast. They feast on garbage. So here's how these guys look right now. Offensively, 16th in the league, 1,637 yards, 327.4 per game. 18th in passing yards, 1,015. That's good for 20th in the league at 203 per game. They're 9th in rushing yards, 622. That's 10th in the per game category at 124.4. 6th in points scored, 134. That's 8th in per game at 26.8. Now, that is their offense, okay? And after I give you the defense, then I'm going to give you my opinion of the team as it stands. Defensively, they are 6th in total yards allowed, 1,460. 292 per game is 5th in the league. 2nd in passing yards allowed at 843. That's 168.6 per game. 21st in rushing yards allowed. So you can run the ball on them. That's 617 total yards, 123.4 per game. They are, however, 8th in points allowed with just 83 at 16.6 per game. So like we talked about with the Giants and with the Commodes, averaging losing by double digits. Well, the Cowboys are the other direction. Okay. They are averaging winning by 10, right? They score 26. They give up 16. Okay. Their turnovers, they are +6. That's 2nd in the league. They have 11 takeaways, also tied for 2nd. 7 interceptions, 4 fumbles recovered. They've turned it over 5 times. That's 4 Dak Prescott interceptions and 1 fumble lost. Guys, I think it's pretty obvious the picture that's painted here. Just take a look at the numbers I just gave you. Obviously, the strength of that team is easily the defense. Okay. On the offensive side of the ball, they are very pedestrian in the passing game. All right. And that includes a game this past Sunday night when they were getting shellacked and had to throw. It's very obvious that they have dialed, that they have, the way they're trying to treat their team is run the ball and play defense. Okay. They are trying to mitigate Dak Prescott's propensity to turn the ball over. He throws a lot of interceptions, and they're trying to mitigate that with a little bit more ball control, not asking him to do too much, and letting the defense handle it. Problem is, when they run into teams where the defense can't just have their way with them, now Dak has to do more, and that's where you see those 2 losses. They seem very feast or famine. Again, if their defense isn't able to crush the opponent, they struggle offensively to make up for it. As far as Dak Prescott goes, in my opinion, he is declining. Okay? He's no longer mobile, which hurts them. He has always panicked when there's pressure. Always panicked when there's pressure. Now, look, every quarterback, obviously, the numbers are different when they're under duress versus when they have a clean pocket. But then there's some that are drastic. If you listen to our pregame show when we were in Tampa, I talked about this very thing with Baker Mayfield. There's a massive drop-off. Same thing with Dak. Again, they made an effort to go more of a run-first type of offense, which is fine for them when the defense is handling things, but when Dak has to do too much, they stink. 1,061 yards is 18th in the league. He is completing 69.4%, which is 8th in football, which is solid. But he's only averaging 6.6 per. Okay, so what does that tell you? He's not pushing the ball downfield. So even in these games where they're losing, it's a lot of dink, dunk, just take what's there. He's not getting it downfield, which is where you're seeing CeeDee Lamb start to get frustrated. Okay? Yes, Keenan Harmon, stats matter. His 5 touchdowns are tied for 17th. His 4 interceptions are tied for 4th most. Unfortunately, Jalen Hurts also sits in that same spot. Look, Dallas is coming off getting their asses kicked 42-10 at the hands of San Francisco. Normally, teams who get embarrassed like that tend to bounce back the next week with a little bit of anger, unless they're just terrible, like the Giants. However, the Cowboys' reward is another trip to California. Now, I'm not sure if they flew back to Dallas and then are going back to Cali. Maybe they stayed there. But it's another game on the road out west. And this time they get to face the Chargers. Chargers' defense has been underwhelming to say the least, but their offense can score. They are coming off a bye week. It looks like Austin Eckler is going to be back. And they've had 2 weeks to prepare for this opponent, and now they're going to get their most dynamic weapon back. Paired with Justin Herbert, who I know David Conant doesn't like. I happen to think the kid's a pretty good quarterback. Mike Williams, done for the year, but don't forget the Chargers also drafted Quentin Johnston out of TCU, who can fill that role, right? Just another big physical receiver that the Chargers seem to like to collect out there. Again, I get it. It's the Chargers. But that's a tough task for a Dallas team that looked awful, that has looked really awful in some spots, and has not defended the run well. With Eckler coming back, that's a problem. Obviously, we know, like we just talked about with the numbers and everything, Dallas' key to victory: run the ball, play defense, let Micah Parsons needs to go wreak havoc all over the field. We get it. But, again, if Herbert is able to light the scoreboard up, if Eckler is able to run all over them, you're going to be asking Dak to do a lot again. And we've all seen what happens when Dak has to do too much. It doesn't work out. It's very possible that this is a Dallas team who at the end of the weekend is 3-3 at 500. And then you'll start to hear the panic coming out of every Dallas camp out there. And oh, what a crying shame that would be. All right, before we get to our beloved birds, what are you guys doing over here? David Conant, Prescott will go down as one of the most overrated quarterbacks in NFL history. I always hear Cowgirl fans tell me how good he is. I don't see it. Average quarterback. Spot on, dude. Spot on. I put Dak in the same conversations with Tony Romo, with Kirk Cousins, with guys like that. That's where the comp is for Dak as far as I'm concerned. Turn those lights up bright, ask him to do too much, and he can't deliver. David Conant would like to say, Herbert, stats and wins matter. Agreed. No doubt. Kid's still a good quarterback. Keenan Harmon, Dallas gets behind and Dak may throw the ball. Nice. All right. Let's close out the show with our beloved birds, huh? Okay, kids. As your Phils are sitting there, 1 out, bottom of the 5th, 2 on, and a 1-0 count on Castellanos. It's going to be 1-1 now. Okay. Look, has every Birds game been a thing of beauty each week? No. Have there been plenty of moments where we were losing our minds with the play calling, sloppy play in the defensive secondary, series of mini heart attacks? Yeah, including just this past weekend. However, despite all of that and all the questions about Jalen doesn't look comfortable in the pocket, why aren't they letting Jalen be Jalen? The defensive secondary has been poor. Blah, blah, blah. We haven't heard anything out of Reddick. Despite all of that, we're still 5-0, 2 games clear of Dallas in the NFC East. Okay? The defensive adjustments made at halftime this past week against the Rams, absolutely fantastic. We were getting eaten alive by Cooper Kupp in the first half, and I was very concerned this was going to be a shootout right down to the end. The defense in the second half came out and just said, oh, hell no. I don't know what was said to those dudes. Obviously, the adjustments made were stellar, and we ended up shutting out the Rams in the second half of that ball game. As Casty drives one. No, not quite. And to move to 5-0. Now, the offense, I would have liked to seen us punch it in the end zone. I didn't like how conservative we look. I understood. I half understood it because the field goal there late makes it a 2-score game. But a touchdown there late makes it a 2-touchdown game. And you completely put that game out of reach. Look, in Nick we trust. I am in no position to go questioning what the head coach of a team that made the Super Bowl last year is doing. I just would have liked to see a little more, a little more aggressive. That's all. So, anyways, let's take a look at our boys like we did the rest of the division. Offensively, we're second in total yards, 2022. That's 404.4 per game. 9th in passing yards, 1,202. Good for 10th per game at 240.4. We're second in rushing yards, 820. That's 164 yards on the ground per game. 5th in points scored with 151. That's 28.2 per game. Defensively, we're 10th overall in yards allowed, and there is a massive difference that you're going to hear here, and it's probably going to make you as pissed off as it does me. 10th in yards allowed, which is solid, 1,544, 308.8 per game. 27th against the pass. Okay? Then we're going to break that down a little bit in just a minute. 27th against the pass, allowing 1,238 yards. That's 25th per game at 247.6. That's ugly. We are, however, second against the run, allowing just 306 yards, only 60. And per game, we are number one in football, allowing just 61.2 yards on the ground per game. We are 14th in points allowed with 104. That's 13th per game at 20.8. So we average winning games by a touchdown, 28-20, right? So a touchdown and a 2-point conversion, 28-20. Turnovers, we're tied for fifth at a +3. We've had 8 takeaways. That's 6 fumbles recovered and 2 interceptions. We've given it away 5 times. That's the 4 Jalen interceptions and 1 fumble lost. All right. So, look, the offense, for as much as there's been complaints, we're pretty solid, guys. You know, we're 5th in points scored. We're 2nd in overall yards per game, 2nd in rushing per game, 9th in passing yards. Nothing wrong with the offense. The offense is doing its thing. The defense overall is not bad, but the pass defense has gotten absolutely smoked. All right. Mac Jones went for 316 yards and 3 touchdowns. That's embarrassing. Kirk Cousins went for 364 and 4 touchdowns. I mean, Cousins has weapons. Justin Jefferson's probably the best wide receiver in football, although he's hurt now. You know, the addition of Jordan Addison, TJ Hawkinson. But it's also primetime Cousins. And, you know, I did kind of call this out before we played that game that we were not going to shut them down like we did the year before. Not the same way. Sam Howell threw for 290 yards and a touchdown. Again, embarrassing. Matt Stafford only ended up with 222 and 2 touchdowns, but had those adjustments not been made at halftime, that could have been a whole lot worse. So overall, yes, the pass defense has left a lot to be desired. Those things have to get cleaned up. The run defense, however, absolutely unbelievable. Jordan Davis has the highest win rate in the league versus the run from his position. Jalen Carter has to be double teamed on a regular basis, or he is just going to toss that guard out of his way and wreak havoc in the backfield for everyone. You saw that a bunch in the second half. Him and Davis both. The pass rush also looked a lot better this past week. We had 2 sacks out of JJ Redick, or JJ Redick, listen to me. Hassan Reddick, which was nice to see. Finally, he breaks out of it. The concern has been the middle of the defense, right? The passing defense and the middle of the defense at both linebacker and safety. Cunningham and Morrow have been okay at linebacker, making good plays in certain spots, making shitty plays in others. Linebacker and safety were thin there, and you know it's just not positions that Howie makes big investments in. So they're trying to plug and play. We'd like to get Sidney Brown back, get him back out on the field. And to be honest with you, I would tell you the corners could stand a little bit of an ass chewing as well. You know, just saying. On the offense, look, Quez Watkins, buddy, hit the hole, okay? That was a first down. You tried to dance around, scared of contact or whatever, and, you know, that could have ended up really bad for us. Fortunately, we have the brotherly shove. But having Quez back on the field and his speed takes the top off the defense, which allows things underneath to open up a little bit more. And I think that it played a big role in why you saw Dallas Goedert have such a big game. Okay? I'd expect to see more of that as we move forward. The run game is at the top of the league again behind the best offensive line in football, so I am not shocked there at all. DeAndre Swift has looked great. The Rams did a nice job containing the run until the game got later, when we actually decided to start running the ball to the outside a little bit more, away from Aaron Donald. Jalen Hurts has started to look a lot better in that aspect as well. Overall, this offense is going to go as far as Jalen can take us, right? A.J. Brown's been great, but it's all about Jalen on the offensive side. You look at that game on Sunday, he had a bunch of really nice throws. He also missed a bunch of them too. Not seeing Quez wide open in the back of the end zone, overthrowing Quez wide open over the middle earlier in the game. The poorly underthrown ball into the end zone that got picked off. So, every game there's going to be things to work on. Overall, Jalen Hurts is 10th in the league at 1,262 yards passing. He's tied for 13th with 16 touchdowns. Tied for fourth most interceptions with 4. That's got to get cleaned up. He's 16th with a 91.4 rating, 11th with a 60.8 QBR. You get the interceptions under control, and those numbers start to come up. He's also added 206 yards rushing on the ground, which is second amongst quarterbacks only to Lamar Jackson. He's also rushed for 4 touchdowns. Look, guys, we're 5-0, and now we're headed up to the swamp to take on Zach Milson and the Jets. I expect to be 6-0 after this weekend. Now, I know you guys can give me all the crap you want about when we did our preseason predictions, and I saw this game as an L, but that was, what did I say at the time? That was with a healthy and committed Aaron Rodgers, who is no longer there. Jets defense is strong. That can cause some problems, but overall, we're so much more talented than them. When you take it from a full roster perspective, I expect to be 6-0 coming out of there. And with Dallas heading out to take on the well-rested and should be well-prepared Chargers with Eckler coming back, guys, girls, everyone listening, it is very, very possible that you are looking at a 6-0 Philadelphia Eagles team that is 3 games clear inside our own division, which is huge because after we play the Jets, the schedule starts to take a turn towards the nasty, which we will talk about next week, not now. For now, I am going to leave you to your fighting Phils, who are in the top of the 6th inning, 1 out. The Braves have a runner on first. Nola's got a 1-2 count on Darnode at the dish. So, for Keenan Harmon, Lou Mancini, David Conant, Andrew Bagley, Russ Taylor, who else came in the room? Suzanne Trainer, who came to us live from the bank. Our new friend here at the Midwest Eagles Nest, Daniel Guys. And am I missing anyone else? I don't think I'm missing anyone else. And for all of you who are out there listening and this, didn't decide to comment or whatever, that's okay too. We appreciate whatever we get out of you. That's all the time we've got for tonight, folks. I went way longer than I thought I was going to. So come on back next week when we'll be here at the compound again. But we're going to welcome in my son Grady, along with Green Legion Radio's own Michael Diaz, for some NBA banter between those two. I'm going to try to play mediator between the two of them. Should be a fun one, so don't miss it. Until then, this has been the Unhappy Gilmore Show, powered by Green Legion Radio. Everyone, take care. Enjoy the weekend. Enjoy the fighting Phils. And as always, go Birds! All right, guys. I don't get pulling Nola there. I probably would have left him in, but whatever. Anyways, take care. Enjoy the weekend. We love you. Have a great night.